Hello guys, welcome to another video. And in today's video, we are going to discuss about some advanced part of Remix routing and as well as how you can create layouts in Remix. So in the previous video, we have discussed how you can use flat file names to create routes. And also you have seen how we can create route inside the folder so that folder name is going to be my route name. And we also introduced the underscore index file, which is going to be the root path of your application. And today we are going to focus some advanced part like how you can create dynamic segments inside the folder, how you can create layouts, stuff like that. So if I take an example of this, so we have discussed only one level of subfolders of route considered as route. Means if I just copy this right here, and if I have a folder structure like this, routes, in the routes folder, I have a route called landing. The folder name is landing, so the route name is going to be landing. And it has multiple files. So how Remix is going to understand which file is going to be the route file? It's very simple. So the route.txt file is going to be the Remix route. And if you have multiple nested folder inside it, maybe landing slash about, like I do have about folder in a separate directory here, not inside this landing. And if you have about folder here and if you have a separate route.txt inside it, it's not going to work because it Remix only consider one level of route.txt. If you have nested folders and inside them you do have multiple route.txt, those are not going to be considered. So that is my ideal way to develop Remix application and make it scalable to have folders for each route and have their own files inside the folder itself. But route.txt is going to be must if you want to have a route there. If you have a nested routes folder, then parent considered as layout. That's what we are going to see now. How you can create layouts in Remix and how you can handle children's route in Remix.js. So this is the directory of our project so far. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete each route we have created so far. Only going to keep underscore index and I'm going to delete that. Perfect. Now if I open the application, let me just rerun it again. And we have it here. Let's open it. And we have a next page only. Now we don't have any other route. Like if I try to open about, it's not there. Perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another folder that is going to be events. And now if I want to create route for events, then I need to create another file called route.tsx. Route.tsx. Now what I can do is not here. Maybe let's create component. So if you want to create a UI component for your route, you need to export default a component. You can name it anything, but maybe let's name it as events. Well, if you name it events or specific to your route, then it is very easy to search in the VS Code. If you name this component, then it is very difficult for you to search when you have multiple components named component. All right, here what I'm going to do is I'm going to return. Maybe let's return h1 and here we are going to call it as events. All right, if I have this and if I go back, search events here. Okay, maybe I need to just pass this. Now I have it working. Now what I want to do is I want to create another dynamic segment where I just pass a state and all the events happening on the state should appear there. So right now I don't have this route. So in that case, what I can do is maybe I can try creating another folder here, state, and inside the state I can do route.tsx. It is not going to work. Previously, this way used to work in the V1 conventions, but when they moved to a new version that is V2 and they moved everything into flat routes, then it doesn't work anymore. There are multiple ways we can make it work, but right now we are not going to discuss about those. So I'm going to read. If we are going to stick with the Remix V2 convention, and what I'm going to do is if I want to have another dynamic segment after events, then you should create another route. Events dot state. All right, if I do this, and let's create a file here, route.tsx. Copy everything from here and paste it, events, and I'm going to use a hook, which is going to be use params from Remix run React package. And I'm going to print state here. It's going to be this. So, see, cool. Now if I run this, okay. Now you see what is happening. If you just check the code again, here in the dynamic segment part, I'm printing the state, but in the previous part, events. But now if I'm passing the dynamic segment after the events, previously it wasn't working, but now it is working. But it is redirecting you to the parent component, or I would say the events, not the component with the dynamic segment. Or I would say this events dot state is a children of events. Now what we are doing here exactly is we are creating, like as per the remix, we are creating a layout of events so that all the event children going to be rendered here. How? What I'm going to do is I'm going to call another component which is going to call outlet. Outlet is a component provided by Remix for React Router where your children route renders. Right now, let's assume, and okay, this is a state, this is the event. So I'm assuming this events.state is a children of events, and in the events I'm going to render all the children present under the events. So to do that I need to use outlet. If I save this and if I go back again, hmm, now it is printing you event state Delhi, which is the this route, not this route anymore. But now what if I try to open the parent route? It is not going to print me anything because it is printing you this outlet. If I try to print hi here, it is printing you, it is rendering all the children routes of events, but it is not having the index route of events. So to do that, what you have to do is you need to get another route, events dot underscore index. Underscore index is a way to tell Remix route system that it is an index route of specific path. So events is my path, and here this is the index of events, and this is the children of events. So if I create another folder, another file here, out.tsx, and if I try to copy this for now, paste it, I don't need to use outlet. Let's remove it. Events homepage. Okay, now if I reload this, now you see we have events homepage here, and if I remove hi here, you see event homepage, and if I go to with the dynamic segment, it opens the dynamic segment. Theoretically, if you create events folder and you create the out.tsx here and you don't create these two, then it is going to be a separate route, and the route is going to be slash events. But when you start creating children's of events, maybe you didn't create this, you just create this one, then all the children's is going to be rendered in the events outlet. It is going to be rendered here. So now what you can do is you maybe if you want to differentiate between the events homepage and this dynamic segment, so maybe you can create some condition here, like if the state param is present, you should print or render the dynamic segment, or if it is not present, then you should go with just outlet rendering the children. But there is a way, if you want to create a homepage or index file for this layout, you can have this folder. Uh, you can have this events underscore index. There's a way to tell Remix route engine that, oh, you are creating a index file for this route, as well as you are creating a layout file for this route, so that all the children's present here for the events going to render under this layout file. If you go back again to the code and check, this is the outlet. Here maybe I can create um header, all header related to events page. And here I can also do like footer, all footer related to events page. If I save this, go back to the code and try to run it again. This is the actual code for this dynamic segment component. And if I go back to the events homepage, this is the event homepage index file. Why we are creating layouts? To have a common code for all the childrens of this event. That is the beauty of Remix. You can create n number of layouts you want to use. You can have everything wrapped under layout, so you don't need to repeat things again and again for all the pages you have. So if I collapse all the folders here and see all the files which is available by default by the Remix, you see one file which is called root.tsx. And it offers you few things which we are going to discuss about later. But if you see the default component which is being exported from this file is this app, and they are exporting what outlet. So by default, this root.tsx is somewhat a layout for you, a default layout where everything is going to be rendered under this outlet. So you're not limited to nest only one level of outlet. So all the routes you create under this folder are going to be rendered here. And even if you have your own outlets, like we just created here, those are going to be rendered under this file, and this file is going to be rendered under root.tsx. That's how Remix works basically. And maybe there are some cases you want to create a route where you don't want to define a path for it. Maybe you just want to create a layout and you want to reuse that layout for different parts of your application or different routes. Right now, this events is mostly going to be used for event children's. But if you want to create a reusable layout, what you can do is you can create another file here, or maybe folder if you want, something like let's name it auth layout.tsx. And here what I'm going to do is I am going to export, maybe let's copy from here and print it auth layout header, and I'm going to remove it. I'm just going to have the outlet here. So let's assume whenever you add underscore before the file in Remix, it's considered as pathless. It is not going to open if you enter this path in the route. Let's try it out. If you do auth layout, it's not going to open. Even if you pass underscore before it, it is not going to open. This is the way in Remix if you want to create pathless route. Or I would say I'm just creating a layout for me. Now, if you want to use this layout for other parts of your application, maybe if you want to create a login page, and if you want to use this layout for the login page, what you can do is you can create another file called login.tsx, and let's have this component here. Let's not have outlet, just print login, and let's remove this. Right now, if I open login, my page is open. Right now, it is not using any layout. So if you want to use this auth layout inside this events component, or I would say let's name it to login. Inside this login component for login route, what you have to do is before this login name, you need to specify the layout you want to use. I want to use auth layout. Let me spell it right. Auth layout dot login.tsx. If I do this and again go back to the URL and reload this, now you see it is using the auth layout here. Now you can create reusable layouts in your Remix route. You can use those reusable layouts by just specifying the name of the layout before the route. The route name is login. It's not auth layout slash login. It's just login. But this is like before. If you provide the layout name before the route name, then it is a way in Remix to ensure that you're using this layout. And if you try to debug this using Remix route debugger, let's see what we get in result. Okay, we have this file as auth layout, which is a parent, and the children is going to be this. And in the case of events, we do have two children, and this is going to be a layout file. And if you see the index folder one is the index file, it is specifying the index attribute there. That's how you can use layouting in Remix. You can get multiple layouts you want as per your requirement, and the default layout is this provided by Remix. It doesn't have anything, but if you want to add something, you can. And that's how you can create folders in Remix to manage your routes, and it is very manageable. But still, if you have thousand and like if your application growing bigger day by day, and if you want to handle thousand of routes, I don't think it is the best way to do it. They do have better option, and the better way is this. So they do have a community package which is also maintained by the authors of Remix, which is called Remix Flat Routes. It provides you hybrid approach if you want to use folders as well as flat file names. You can use both in this package. So let's take an example. Previously, like we are doing, they are creating stuff like this. But using this package, you can create nested folder with their own route. You don't need to create one folder for each route. You can have nested folders, and each folder, like you have a big uh, module like users, and users going to have multiple routes. So you don't need to define user.id as a separate folder. You just create user ID, which is a dynamic segment inside this user folder, and it's going to work for you if you're using this package. We are not going to discuss about this package today, maybe in later videos. Maybe for some reason, if you decide to not go with Remix flat routes, there is also a way you can manually configure the routes so that you can have every route inside a same folder rather creating different folder for the children routes like concert home.tsx, layout.tsx, trending.tsx with some other files as well. What you have to do is you need to go to vite.config.ts, which is present in the directory of your Remix project like this. And here you have to manually define the route configuration. Like they are defining concert route configuration where concerts slash layout.tss is going to be a pairing, and children's are going to be, this is a layout file, I would say index file. This is going to be trending page. This is going to be CTR dynamic page, and you have to define it by yourself. But I personally prefer this to be managed by Remix, so I'm going to stick with this way, creating a layout and having everything under the layout, all the children. So maybe creating a shareable layout if I have to in upcoming videos. We are going to do it. We are not going to use remix routes. We are not going to configure the custom configuration in this course. If you guys really want to learn them, I can create a separate video. Please let me know in the comments. I will create another video for it. Maybe sometimes you want to create a route with a file name, like if you want to download a file like myfile.pdf, or if you want to create a route for sitemaps, there is a way you can do it. Remix also provide you escape special characters if you want to create a route with sitemap.xml. So you can do something like this or something like this. So ultimately the route is going to be this. And same for the file. Like if you want to have a download.pdf route, then you just need to change it to download.pdf.tsx, and it is going to be a route for you. If we talk about final conclusion, I would say Remix already gives you best out of industry. Creating separate folders for route, managing all the route files inside the same folder is more than enough. But yeah, if you are creating scalable application where you're going to manage hundred of routes, so I would suggest go with Remix flat routes rather depending on the default conventions. But if you are creating an application which is going to be 20-30 routes, then the default convention is more than enough to handle all the cases. Thank you for watching this video. That's all for this video. I will see you in next video. If you like, please do subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Thank you so much. Have a nice